Don, famously, of course, a couple of seasons ago, you said that Harry Kane would definitely playing at Manchester City. That didn't work out. What are your sources telling you now?
No idea, Dan. I don't think anyone's got a clue what he's doing. I don't even think Harry Kane's camp know what they're doing. I don't know if they think they want to move on, because I worked on the game, I commentated on the game, and it was a shambles. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team be 5-0 up inside 20 minutes, and Tottenham were sort of spineless. There was no leadership. The defending was horrendous. And all I could think of was the atmosphere at St James's Park, thinking of Harry Kane, thinking, I bet he'd like a bit of this. And he might be thinking that about Man United. I still don't think he'll go abroad, because he'll want to break Alan Shearer's record. So I think he'll probably stay at England. Can he get sucked in by Daniel Levy with a statue and a new manager coming in? Well, they sucked him in with Jose Mourinho. They sucked him in with Antonio Conte, bringing these managers in. They'll try, but I think it will be, I think for the first time, I think this will be a lack of ambition, I think, if Harry Kane doesn't move this summer.
Don, just explain the psychological nature of his decision if you're saying he doesn't go abroad because he wants to break Alan Shearer's record. Surely, looking back, you'd prefer a Bundesliga title or a good run in the Champions League with Bayern Munich than a record that will inevitably be broken at some stage or another.
Not really. Not really. What, just a good run in the Champions League with Bayern Munich over the Premier League's all-time leading goal scorer? I don't think that cuts it. I mean, you can argue...
No, why not, Don? You've got a trophy. You've got something to show yourself. You've got a winner's medal.
No, listen, Dan. These strikers, Alan Shearer's record has been there for a long time. And if Harry Kane breaks his record, it could be there for longer. It might not ever be beaten. It might not. We've got no idea how long
isn't there always a but, Don? Isn't there you're the top goals, but you never won anything? Like, well, surely as a footballer, you grew up wanting to win things.
But Dan, if you sit in the offer on the table is to play for a club the size of Real Madrid, that's a completely different story. You've got to have something like Real Madrid or Man United.
Bayern Munich isn't a small big club, is it? Bayern Munich's one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Well, ask Sadio Mane if he regrets going to Bayern Munich, and look at the shambles that they're in under Thomas Tuchel. They can't win a game.
Because they don't have a striker. If they had a striker, they wouldn't be in the shambles. Well, and therefore, Harry Kane is a striker, could go there and then would help them get back on track.
I don't know what your argument is. I mean, I don't think a Bundesliga...
My argument is, I don't know why you're giving Harry Kane a pass, because he doesn't want to go abroad. You are. You're explaining why he wants to stay in England is because he wants to break Alan Shearer's record. And I made the point, well, don't you want to win trophies? And you're like, no, you want to break records.
Well, no. If you've got everything on the table before you've done anything, of course you want to win trophies. But if that's not on the table and you want to break Alan Shearer's record and that's your goal of being the best Premier League scorer of all time, that is still some goal. When you sit back and you retire, that is still one hell of an achievement, rather than what you said there is go and win a Bundesliga, which you might not, and just have a run in the Champions League. Well, the Tottenham have had runs in Champions Leagues. They've got to a Champions League final. So you can't guarantee anything.
But no one can ever take away a winner's medal from you. Inevitably, someone will take away that goal-scoring record.
But what's your winner's medal then? Is Bundesliga or is it a La Liga with Real Madrid? Because that's another level.
But I don't know, Tom. I don't know. Shaka, what do you think?
I believe that I know I'm saying Alan Shearer, Harry Kane should have left a long time ago. At this point, the only question to what Don is saying is, has he just painted himself into a corner? That the opportunity to go and win significant silverware is now gone because of his age. He's only going to, even if he moves now, he's only going to be at another club for so long. He's only going to be vying for so many titles. So maybe he's just painted himself into a corner. I personally would always choose titles and silverware over those records. Even the promise of a statue, as Daniel Levy was mentioning earlier this week or last week, whenever it was. I don't get it. It's a personal choice. My only thing is maybe that he's now painted himself into the position where the most significant thing he can do is rewrite a record.
Can I just make one point here, which I think is not often made in this debate about Harry Kane, is that the biggest mistake that Kane made was signing a 6-year contract before a World Cup, because that's what he did in 2018. And obviously he was advised by his brother at the time. I know they had one or two other people who were helping them with that deal. But I think out of a desire to be loyal to Tottenham, to be loyal to Pochettino, to be loyal to the quote-unquote project that they were building there at the time before the World Cup, which, remember, England got to a semi-final, he won the Golden Boot. Imagine what negotiating position he would have been in after that tournament. But to sign a 6-year contract, a player of that calibre, when he didn't have to sign A at that time or B for that long, is really the damage that we're seeing now. Because when he tried to force that deal through to City, he would have had obviously a year less on his contract, and now he'd be out of contract this summer. He would have he probably, all things being equal, he would have left Spurs by now if he'd not signed a 6-year deal. He could have easily signed a 4-year contract. Even a 5-year deal would have left him with a situation where at 28 going into 29 last summer, he could have been in a much stronger position to sort of strong-arm Spurs into a sale. But I just wanted to say that because I think that's often forgotten in this debate, that is the reason he's in the situation he's in now, is because a top player committed himself to far, far too long a contract at absolutely the wrong time. And he's paid a really, really high price for that show of loyalty in 2018.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.